Hey guys, it's Troy and I am in New York City walking through Soho, and I wanted to talk about 3 things that guys get wrong about modern women. Okay, number 1 is that guys fall into the doomer black pill trap and they think that modern women have these impossibly high standards, and that if you're not a 7'5" Chad with millions of pounds in the bank and a Bugatti, then you are not going to have any access, or you're not going to have any success at all with modern women. And this is just simply not true, okay? Now look, I mean, however many times we have to reiterate this, yes, of course, looks are important. Yes, of course, fitness is important, being in shape, or as much in shape as you can be, is important. Yes, of course, grooming and presenting yourself well is important. Yes, of course, getting your money right, getting your finances right is important. However, it's not a zero-sum game. It's not as though there is a glass ceiling, and if you don't achieve godlike status in all of those things, then you're just going to be weeded out of the gene pool. It just doesn't work like that. All you've got to do, is go out the house and walk down the street, and you're going to see couples. You're going to see people together, and you're going to see, sometimes due to, maybe they're not in the best possible shape, maybe, they don't look particularly rich or whatever, and they've got a wife, they've got a girlfriend, okay? They're doing what you say you want to do, and you're telling yourself it's impossible. Okay, so all of this stuff doesn't really pass the reality test. So that's the first thing, that women have got impossibly high standards. The second thing, and this is really key, is that women are always engaged in some sort of Machiavellian, sadistic kind of mental game with you, and that you have to be on your guard all the time. Again, this is one of these things that I think gets talked up a little bit too much online, and I think I was having a conversation with Destiny, of all people, about this actually in Miami recently, and I was saying, surely the value of the red pill, if you want to call it that, is, it seems to me there is a bit of an education gap with a lot of guys, because a lot of guys are a little bit naive, really, about the reality of the way things can go down in terms of dating, okay, and some of the bad things that women undeniably can do. And certainly, myself, I had a sort of, I wouldn't say I had a real Disney-fied sort of attitude to it, because I really didn't, because my parents divorced and stuff. So, the advertisement that I'd seen for relationships was never really that great in the first place. But I still fell enthralled to the 1980s, movies, high school shows, sitcoms, things like this, where it was kind of like, well, find that right girl, and she's going to be, you're super sweet to her, she's going to be super sweet to you, and everything is going to be fine. And I was very quickly disabused of that notion. Now, if I'd have fallen down the rabbit hole of reading a lot of this kind of content and stuff, and viewing a lot of this kind of content when I was that age, then I might have got into quite a sort of nihilistic kind of a place. What happened instead was I got more into the self-improvement thing, I suppose, the self-improvement thing, and what you might call the game thing, sort of improving one's social skills, one's social acumen, and fundamentally, and again, we always bang on about this, actually going out and taking action, actually going out and having conversations with people in real life. And what I then found through my own personal research, if you want to call it that, is that it's a very mixed bag, okay? There are very, very good, nice, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful women out there, and there are some complete scumbags, okay? And, let's be fair, that's exactly the same with dudes. It's exactly the same with guys, okay? So this kind of, again, somewhat nihilistic template of the world, whereby we think that there's this one type, and that it's almost paranoia, isn't it? All women are out to get me. I'm going to get screwed over whatever I do. Look, the truth of the matter is this, and I'm saying this as an old dude wandering around New York City who's, I've seen a lot, I've experienced a lot, and I've coached a lot of guys. The truth of the matter is this: yes, there are some individual women out there who will do things that are going to hurt you, that you're not going to like. They will screw you up. They will stab you in the heart, and they'll throw it away. And that's the truth of the matter. However, of course, There are also guys who act badly in relationships as well. But there are also women who are, very, very good people, very sweet people. And, so part of it is the vetting process. And I said in a recent video, vetting is not always, is tricky because there's only a certain extent of vetting that you can really do. But of course, you've got to look out for those red flags initially. But beyond that, it also comes down to how you are. What I found myself was that the more I worked on self-improvement and the better that I got as a guy, the better I got as a proposition in the sexual marketplace, if you like, the better people treated me. And I also had firmer boundaries. I developed firmer, stronger boundaries, which meant that I was less inclined to put up with BS. I mean, I had an early relationship where, a lot of bad crap happened. I mean, she cheated on me, took her back, she cheats again, all this kind of stuff. These days, there would be zero tolerance for any of that kind of behaviour. I would be out the door before it even happened in the first place. And if, something like that did happen, then that would be the end of it and I just never speak to her again. Why is that? Well, because I have certain boundaries for myself and a certain, I suppose, degree of self-respect that I would not allow people to, to cross those boundaries, to impinge on that. So as you self-improve, as you self-actualize, or whatever you want to call it, and remember that's a lifelong process, we never really reach that summit, we're always working on more stuff, what you will find is that people will treat you better and you will have a better experience out there, by and large. But look, again, we're dealing with human beings, we're dealing with people. Look around us, we live in this really strange, sort of multifaceted world where people, have different agendas, different motives, different things that are driving them, different agendas, I suppose, and it's all a bit random, really. Particularly if you're sort of dating around internationally, you're coming into contact with a lot of different people, and sometimes shit happens, but you need to be aware, and that I think is the value of some of the online content is to be aware of what can happen, but not to become overly paranoid about it, because that will just sour your relationship with women and it will sour your life. Okay, and the third thing that guys get wrong about modern women is that they think that the old set of books, as Mr. Tomasi would say, the old ways work. So they think things like, okay, I've just got to be like this super nice guy, super cute and super respectful, like the dudes in the 80s high school movies, and it's all going to come good. Or I've got to take her out for dinner, I've got to buy her gifts, I've got to put her on this pedestal, and she's going to fall in love with me, and it's all going to be great. Or I've just got to become jacked and incredibly rich, and have a load of money in the bank, and then the women are going to come to me and flock to me, and it's all going to be fine. And none of those things are true. And the reason that none of those things are true is that you have to develop stellar interpersonal skills. Let me put it like that. You have to develop presence. You have to develop gravitas, okay? You have to develop the ability to transmute energy when you are with her. She needs to feel that intensity. She needs to feel that masculine, feminine polarity when you're standing in front of her. Now, that's not to say that there aren't, I'm sure dudes with a lot of cash who are in New York City now, and they're getting cute girls. But what's the motivation for those girls? Are those girls just gold diggers? Are they really driven by genuine desire? Okay, and what we all want, actually, as guys, is genuine desire. We don't want some woman who's just there, really, and doesn't even really like us. She's just there because we got a nice car. We don't really, people might say that, but they don't really want that, because what you actually want is a woman who thinks you're, God's gift, okay? And the way to get to that is, yes, through all of the external things, so look as good as you can, go to the gym, blah, 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 all of those things that we talk about, but ultimately you need to understand interpersonal dynamics, and you need to have a quote-unquote strong frame, and you need to know how to ignite chemistry when you are sitting in front of her. Now, the reason... God damn it! The reason that I know this is because my own experience, but also I coach a lot of guys. And I coach guys I've worked with on a one-on-one basis, guys who are very rich, very, very rich, and very well put together. And in many cases, you know, decent looking, and maybe they've got some nice clothes and stuff. And they're not really getting traction with girls, and that's why they obviously contact me and why they want to work together, okay? If it was as easy as we'll just get these things and then it's all going to be fine, which a lot of people online think, because a lot of people online are very literal and they don't really understand the way interpersonal relationships work, then the prescription would be incredibly straightforward. The prescription would be basically get a Bugatti, okay? That would be it, really, you know, more or less. But it isn't like that in reality. And even if you speak to, you know, like Tristan or Andrew or any of these guys really who are, you know, quote unquote high value, they will tell you the same thing. I think Andrew Tate had a tweet where he said, you know, just as guys got money, there's plenty of rich dorks out there, okay? So falling into the trap of thinking, well, if I just get this thing in place and that thing in place and the other thing in place, it's all going to be fine, is a mistake, okay? As much of a mistake as is thinking, well, I'll just be that super gentlemanly dude and, you know, she's just going to fall in love with me. That's not true either. You need to develop, and again, you know, we coined the term, we've got a course about it, you need to develop that edge, you know, that masculine feminine polarity, that slightly bad boy side to your personality. You need to be interesting, you need to be exciting, you need to be able to elicit emotion, you need to create emotion and be able to elicit emotion from her. You need to exude positive, dominant energy, okay? If you're not doing these things, then you're probably coming across as a bit of a boring flannel, and you're going on a lot of nice guy dates, and you're footing the bill at the end of the evening, and then she's saying to you, oh, I didn't really feel the chemistry in her text message later. So you've got to avoid that, okay? And the way to avoid that is through awareness, education, and mentorship, because a lot of the time, dudes are making mistakes and they don't even know they're making them. They don't know what they're doing wrong, okay? You don't know what you don't know. And that's what I help dudes with, okay? So, hope all of that makes sense. A lot to chew on there. I think those are the three key things, really, that dudes have a problem with or get wrong about modern women, you know, thinking that they are all these Machiavellian, hypergamous kind of heathens, and thinking that it's the old set of books and you've just got to do A, B, and C and it's all going to be fine. I mean, these are some of the really fundamental things. And a lot of this stuff, it's really overhauling your entire, I wouldn't say personality, but certainly it's overhauling the way that you look at the world and the way you conduct yourself in the world. And not always the easiest process, but it is a very rewarding process and it will make a huge difference, okay? So, with all of that being said, please do subscribe to this channel if you haven't already and press the notifications bell, because God knows I'm probably massively shadow banned. So make sure you do that. And also please do, if you want to chat to me about your situation, then drop me an email, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, or there's a Calendly link below. Hit that, you can book an appointment. We'll do a free 15-minute call, have a chat, see how we can help you. Buy my books, Renegade Dating Blueprint. There's a collection of 11 books about all of this stuff. Link below. And yeah, Troy Francis, New York City. I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye-bye.